All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this webinar training today. So super excited to have everybody. So we do one a month, and this is a joint partnership between Alltek Services, Data Magic, Global Quest, and Global Data Systems. We want to provide training to our clients because we sell the Microsoft 365 suite to our clients, and we want to make sure they know all of the good stuff that is included in these subscriptions. It's insanely powerful, and most of them are very simple. So don't get overwhelmed as we get into these trainings to think, oh, it's too much. You can really piece by piece see which applications you can apply to your workflow, and that's the point of this whole training. So thanks for joining. I know we'll have some more people as usual coming in as we start. Just wanted to do a quick introduction before we get started. If anybody, any of the other MSPs in the call want to introduce yourself or say anything, we got Mike, Stephen Young, and Gary on the call as well.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve from Global Data Systems.
This is Gary Sullivan from Data Magic. Just thank you for Alltek, Taher for putting this on and helping us all out with it, and thanks to our partnership with Global Quest and Global Data Systems, and most importantly Alltek. So appreciate it. Thank you for anybody that's here from Data Magic. Please share feedback with us after the call, good, bad, ugly. But again, and also Kamal, thank you very much for the help in putting this on.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Gary. All right, Mike, anything before we
Yeah, hi.
get started?
I like to really reiterate what Gary said. Thanks for all the guys in the group. Kamal, thanks for doing this for us. This is one of those tools I don't use or I've never really even seen, so I'm sort of excited to see if we can apply it to our business. And again, any customers from the Buffalo area, have any questions afterwards, please reach out to us. And we look forward to the webinar series this year. Thanks, Taher, for everything. Always
Yeah,
appreciate it, buddy.
no problem. We got one a month coming up, so y'all will hear about all of the ones coming up. We have webinar pages on all of our websites if you ever want to just go and register in advance. So we're super excited about the series. So without further ado, let me give a quick introduction. Today we're going to be going over Microsoft Forms and Microsoft Bookings. So these are two not very well-known applications, but they are super applicable to pretty much any business. So almost every sales department is using Calendly, and that's another portal they got to get into. It's another thing they have to do. Well, Bookings is a great alternative to that. And Forms, you can do great employee onboarding. You can use it for your processes. Kamal is going to show us everything it can do. It's awesome. And as a reminder, this will be recorded, so if there's any pieces you really liked, you can go back and view it later. So Kamal is kind of our go-to for Microsoft 365 trainings. He does a phenomenal job, and he has a ton of experience. Kamal, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you if you want to do introductions and kick this thing off.
All right, I need to unmute myself. How's everyone doing? My name is Kamal Deiratany. I am a Microsoft 365 end user experience engineer. I have 6 years of experience with the Microsoft suite and the products. I've used all of them. I've done end user training in many different industries, from healthcare all the way to tech. So been using those products since day one, especially Microsoft Forms. I've used it since it was in preview. So I was one of those that tried it in pilot preview and then when it went to production. So I'm a big fan of Microsoft Forms, and I'm gonna get started with it. I'm very excited because I think this is one of the most underrated applications that Microsoft offers as part of the suite, and everybody has access to it as part of the most licensing options. Now, of course, I'm not going to talk about licensing options and things like that and how you can get to it. I think your administration or you can reach out to your admin to get that, but I'm going to cover what is Microsoft Forms at a high level and some of the features it offers and how you can access it. Other than that, we can get also into Microsoft Teams and how Microsoft Forms integrates within Microsoft Teams as well, how you can share it with others and view the results as well. We'll do some demos as well to show you all of that, and we will get into bookings, Microsoft bookings as well. So what is Microsoft Forms really? And as I said at the beginning, it is a very underrated app because it allows you to do surveys, quizzes, You can run polls by your team very easily within Microsoft Teams, within your email, or by just sharing a link. It's accessible from a mobile device, a tablet, or from the web browser. Once you create those forms, you can share them with others. You can view the results in a very nice UI, I would say, especially the result view way. But then you can also dig in deeper. You can go into the Excel format of those results, and you could do additional analytics. From the additional analytics, once you pull the Excel sheet, you can even toss it into Tableau, Power BI, any analytical forms outside just an Excel sheet. So that you can do so much with it. And now with the cloud and M365, you can even put your forms in the cloud so it's accessible, easy, and anyone from the team can see it. And it's live data as well. So where do you really find Microsoft Forms? There are many ways you can get to the application. If you've accessed any of the Office web apps by going to office.com, or if you're a government, you access it differently. But office.com, from there, the top left, you can see that hamburger icon that you see here. I call it the hamburger icon, but it's whatever you want to call it. The top left next to Forms, and you can see all your applications. Forms would be one of them. I personally like to go to forms.microsoft.com because it directly gives me a better view to what my um, what forms I have, and to start a new form and a quiz. It's just slightly different view than when you go from office.com. And I'll show you in the demo how those are a little bit different. And then now I'm flying through these because we do have to cover a few things, but once we get to the demo, a lot of this will make sense. And like Taher said at the beginning, these are very simple tools. There's nothing complex about them. So when you create a form, you have two options: create a form or a quiz. So a quiz mainly, they introduced it for teachers and instructors because Office 365 is sold heavily for universities. And when it first came out, it just had a form. A quiz allows you to do a wrong answer and a right answer, so it has more options, but it's not very common in the industry. So I'm gonna more focus on creating a form, which is the one on the left-hand side. So you simply click on new form and it will launch it, and it asks you first for the name, description, basic information, and then at the bottom you can select between what type of question do you want to ask. You can choose between choice, text, rating. There's a date question, and then if people always forget about that drop down, and I get a lot of questions like, "Oh, you said we can add section." Well, click on that drop down and you'll see it. Same thing with a few other options that you have there for it. Now let's pretend you created that form, and we will do one in a second. Then you can share that form with your team, or you can share it anonymously with others, or within the organization, outside the organizations. Those options are all available to you. They're usually in the settings, or when you click on share. Before you take that link, before you copy that link, make sure you select all the options that you have. You can share with anyone. Anyone is an option that sometimes is disabled by admins. So if it is, that's because of permissions. If it's not, then when you use it, you can send it to anyone outside the organization. Only people in your org can respond. This one allows you to send it to pretty much anyone that has the same under the same tenant as you. And then specific people in my organization can respond. Once you click on that, it will give you another drop down with options. Do you want to put the name of the user? You can put a name of a group if it's synced. So that is also an option to select with a specific group of people. Once you do that, there are also options to send that link. So not only a link, barcodes now are very common, especially since COVID. So there's an option to do that. You can embed the survey on your SharePoint site by using the embed option. So embed option will give you the HTML code that you can put on a website or within a SharePoint site. And lastly is email. If you click on that, it will launch your Outlook and online, and it will format an email and a link in it to send it to users. And once all of that is done, you can view the results. that is part of what I'm going to show you as well. So results allow you to at least quickly see where we're at. Are we getting more responses on a specific item or not? But then when you see that green button that says view results, that will give you more detailed results. And if you open it in Excel, you can see also more details. In this example, it showed me 30 responses. It took them an average of 3 minutes to complete. This is actually important, the time, because a lot of people, you need to know how long it's taking them. Is it a long survey? And then when you send an email to say, take this survey, you can say, this takes an average 5 minutes. So this is a helpful feature as well. All right, so I guess there's no really Q&A at the moment, but I'm going to stop sharing and switch over to the actual demo.
Yeah, and feel free, anybody, to post a chat question, and it can be answered while we're doing it or at the end. But as you're thinking of these questions, feel free to throw it in the chat.
So yeah, and Taher, let me know if you see any questions that need to be answered, but I'll keep going until you pause me.
Sounds good.
All right, so let me share my Microsoft Teams, and can you confirm you see my screen now?
Yep.
All right, so Microsoft Forms, like I said, is accessible by going to the office.com. This is my preferred link because you can see the view. It will give me templates. I will see all the forms that I have. I can create new one as well. But when you go to office.com directly, let's go to it. Oh, I broke the internet. Office.com, usually this is the landing page. And if you are in any Office application on the web, you should see the app launcher on the top left. And from it, you can see all the apps that you have, and Microsoft Forms would be one of them. See, this one will give you slightly different form with only your recent or your pinned shared with me. And you can scroll down and see your teams as well. So it's slightly different way view. This is more focused on collaboration. The other one is focused on personal forms. In Microsoft Teams is what I want to focus on, because I can go over how to create a form from here now and such, but I think the best way to use a form, not personal, to use it as part of a team, because this way it's not lost if the users left the company. It's not gone if others can actually edit the form and modify it and see the results once you create it within a team. So if I have a leadership team, let's say, and we're gonna go to this resources one, and I'm gonna click on the plus sign, and I can add a tab. That tab, you will see a bunch of applications you can add. Forms is one of them. There are admins that disable this feature, but Forms is a Microsoft application. So if third-party apps are blocked, this should still be visible because it's part of the Microsoft applications. You select that one, and it's going to ask you, do you want to create a new form or do you want to add an existing form?
So for everyone that may have just gotten a little, I don't want to say overwhelmed there, but what Kamal just did there, adding an app to Teams, that is an incredibly powerful thing that is very easy to use. The first time you see it, it's like, wait, what just happened? But when you add a tab, either there or on the left-hand side, now you have access to a whole nother app right there within your Teams dashboard. So Teams now, instead of just a chat messaging application, becomes a dashboard. It becomes an aggregate of all of your applications you use on a daily basis. For instance, we use a lot of apps like Vacation Tracker and things that our employees use. Rather than having to log in some other browser, it's all within Teams. Now that sounds complicated, but it's really not, and it's really helpful. And so that's what Kamal is showing here, is just integrating a form right into a current Teams channel that he has.
Exactly. And if you don't want to go to that where I showed you forms is, you can add it on the left-hand side as an app within your Microsoft Teams. And if I do that, actually, I don't mind doing it, then I can add it as an application. And now all the forms that I have, even my personal forms, will be visible within um, Microsoft Teams. So if I go back to Teams here and I add it as a tab within one of my channels, then I have again one of those options to either create a new one or add an existing form. Adding an existing form, you can use some of the ones you personally have, and maybe you worked on one initially, and then now you're ready to share it with your team. You can do it this way, and then it will automatically be shared with the team members. It allows you to select the options. Do you just want to share the results, or you want to collect responses from the team? The create and share one is usually the preferred option to start from Microsoft Teams creating the form if you want to share it with other team members. So I'm going to call it onboarding resources, since this is resource tab. Post the channel, that's fine. And it's going to create that survey where you can start adding questions like I showed you earlier. So now this tab allows anyone on the team to edit this form. So keep that in mind. This is using this option, all the team members, if you have 10, 20, they can all see and edit this one. If you don't want to allow them to edit, just view and respond, then you need to create a personal form and then use an existing share. And this, when I clicked on the plus sign, you say share existing form. So now this is where I have the form and I can create it and I can add um, more questions, description to it. So this is onboarding resource, and then you can add description of what this will be used for. This will be used to hire new resources or to add new resources to the team. And then you can add questions. This is the same as when you go from the web where you can select choice, text, and so on. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. And you can see the additional options that we have. I love this new feature of suggesting questions. Microsoft is pushing AI a lot, and it is within Microsoft Forms as well. You could select a multiple choice, let's say, and I say, um, if you're asking a yes or no question, it will automatically uh, give you those yes, no, other option. You don't have to actually type it in. Do you like pizza, let's say? And then it would say yes, no, I don't want to add maybes, but you can add your additional options as well. So they introduced this one, but now based on that question, you ask, do you like pizza? If you click on that lightning bolt thing, it will suggest additional questions that might be related to it. Maybe I asked a difficult question for it now, like pizza, but if you're asking about onboarding, it's going to start thinking any other feedback you'd like to provide. And these, in a lot of cases, for me personally, when I use it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good question. What is your job type? I didn't think of that, but I need it. So I'm going to add this one. What is your start date? I think because they read onboarding is the name of the form, and now they're telling me maybe you shouldn't ask about pizza. Maybe you should ask about those. Those are the important questions. So if I add all of them, let's say, and then I say add selected, they're all going to populate. Now I have a survey created for me and I didn't have to do much. I can modify it now and say new hire appointment and paper process. How was that process? Poor, bad, good, excellent. You can add even more columns like NA if you want, and so on.
This is awesome. I didn't even know that was a thing, Kamal. And I use Forms. I've been using it recently. And so knowing that it has this now is so cool because that is a big part of what I've been doing. One, it's to collect things for projects. So if someone wants something from my department, they have to go to my form. If they want a campaign or a sales sheet or whatever that they have to put in, include, any documents you have about this service, include what you want to be told or asked about, blah, blah, blah. And that all comes to me as a response so I can start on that process. But in addition, we use the quiz. So after we're done onboarding a new employee, we actually quiz them. And, we want them to get a 90% on the things that we have taught them in the onboarding. And if not, then we just go back and have them revisit the pieces that they got wrong. And so this is just two directly applicable things on in our organization, but everyone listening, I'm sure you can already start to think like, how can these forms and quizzes be applied internally, so I don't have to send my team to yet another pulley or yet another thing. I can standardize within the Microsoft 365 suite.
Absolutely. And then on top of it, you can add, if you click on this three dots, and in every training session, if you attend any trainings I conduct, I always say the three dots are magical because there's always more. Just click on those three dots in any Microsoft application, even look at Teams. A lot of people don't see this, but if you click on it, look how many options you get. Same thing here with forms. The three dots, you got the shuffle option if it's a quiz, you got the drop down, subtitle, and branching. Branching is really important because that's where people always forget to, they don't want to ask all the questions. They want to jump to a specific question based on a response. Then branching is what you need to use. And then you say, if they said no, then end the form. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, I don't need to collect responses from someone who was not onboarded. So uh, another option is you can create two separate sections. And if they said yes, they continue. They said no, they go to section 2. But then you want to make sure that once the first section is completed by the users that said yes, and the last question you need to say end forms. And I'll show you this because I've seen this mistake happen so many times. So once you are here, you need to add a section, and then from that you could basically go to the last question and say, oh no, let me add a section first. Now I have section 2, and this is I'm like, you can ask any questions you want here, but then if I go back to the first question and I add branching, then instead of ending the form in here, I can go to the section 2. So if they said yes, they go to section 2. If they said no, they can continue responding to questions. But what I'm saying is go to the last question of that section and make sure that user is not impacted by having to go to the next section as well. You just end the form right there. And if I want to see how this is looking, I can always preview it by clicking on preview on top. And if I say yes, see how it's going to go to the next section. If I say no, I will respond to the form and then I can submit. There's a
We're
mobile view as well and a computer view.
Oh, that's awesome. We're building a form right now, and this was a question that we had. Like, how do you do the drop down thing again? All right, so this just answered my question. I appreciate it. And what's great is, like, in our case, it's okay, we have a customer requesting a new employee setup. So we can say, are they using an existing computer or a new computer? And then when they say new computer, the drop down is, okay, cool. Well, tell us more about the rules so we can tailor this computer for that specific user. Whereas if it's a existing computer, then perfect. And we know we just need to redo that computer. So, again, I'm providing specific examples of how we're using this, but just to kind of get the juices flowing for how you guys can use it within your organizations.
Yeah, and then once you send the response, it's for someone to respond, you can add all that information, they submit it, and then you go to your responses section. Now you see I have a response. It took me 24 seconds, and um, this is the result. The more you see, you'll see those statistics update, and it's pretty cool. You can even take a screenshot, give it to your leadership, say, here's what we got for you. And if you want to dig deeper, you can always export this, or you can look into the details as well. So view results, you can look at the details of what this person responded. This is me. If you have more, you can scroll back and forth and see what an individual said. Sometimes the summary, if you had a text box saying any additional feedback you have and you have some mean comments, you can see who sent those mean comments or the nice ones as well if you want to see that. So that's an option. And then if you want to share it with others, you can collaborate and duplicate. And there's a lot of settings here under collect under the more option. Before you collect responses, you see if I click on this, it's going to give me that section where you can select anyone or something like that. Before you do that, go to more settings. I think this is Microsoft should move this settings option. If they ask me, I would put it next to preview. This is the wrong location for this setting. And I'll tell you why, because when I click on it, you'll be like, that's what I've been looking for a while. So settings allows you to change do you want to record name or not? Because this is important. When the user sees the survey, it will tell them on top, your name will be visible to the client, or hi, Kamal, you are taking this survey. But if I uncheck this, the name will not be recorded, and users will get notified that this is anonymous. The second one is one response per person. If you are sending a survey on my performance on this presentation, I don't want someone to submit the same survey 3 times, because you attended the session 1 time, so you get a response once. So that is why I would check this one, and for a lot of the service that I send. I would only uncheck it if I have, like, IT help desk, or I'm doing something where the same user is highly likely to submit multiple surveys. Then this the second option. A lot of people ask me, where's that? You can have a start date. If you're working on a survey, but you don't want to allow people to use it yet, then you might want to have a start date in the future. And then no one will be able to respond. Even if they have the link, it will say the form is not yet open. Once it's open, you can have an end date and it closes, because we have so many situations where there's a deadline, and that's how you add the deadline. If you don't accept responses, then uh, the form, I believe, and I forgot this one. I believe it's going to be visible, but they can't actually submit any responses. I forgot if it's going to completely block them or not. But that if you uncheck it, then even if it's within the time frame, it's gone. Like, it's not going to work. Show pro. See, I can't shuffle questions. Do you know why I can't shuffle questions? I can't because I have sections, and I had ordering where I said I put that drop down, say go to the next section. If I shuffle, then they can't really do it for me. Show progress bar. I also really like this, especially for very long surveys, because at the bottom of the survey, so if I check this one now, and I go to preview and respond, you see that's the progress bar. You know how many pages you still got, and if I say no, the progress bar is now saying 1 page of 2. I mean, I have to submit, there's no other page. But this is very helpful if you have 5, 6, 7 pages survey. Where was I? Settings. Customize a thank you message. Forever, this one did not work. They had it, but it never worked. Now it works, but you can customize a thank you response to the user as they submit. But this is not an email or anything. This is on the home page. Once they hit submit button, it will say, you got this, thank you. So when I go and I respond to that survey, preview, I say yes, next, submit. Well, I didn't fill out anything, so it didn't let me. Oh, you see, the form is not started yet. So I guess when I uncheck that one, when I check to close the survey, I can still see the survey, but I can't submit it because I'm not allowing responses yet. I would need to. Oh, I had a date. Never mind. So, responses received. This one, after they submit, there will be an option where they can say, send me my responses via email, and they can click on it. If it was anonymous, then they can put their email. It's still anonymous to you, though. Get email notification for each response. Be careful with this one, because if you have a group like this one, this form is created on a team site. Everybody in that team on that email address that is created with any team will get notified. We'll get an email, will go to that mailbox, basically. So be careful with that. If it's personal form, then definitely check it, and then you get a response every time. Uh, when I said be careful, because I made the mistake in the past, like 3 years ago, where I said send me emails, and I had 500 plus people within an hour respond to it, and I was like, I'm done working that day. So that is definitely something to look at. And you can see the settings here had a lot of options. So I'm not wrong when I say Microsoft's got to move it somewhere else. And then collaborate and duplicate. This is a very cool feature, because duplicating is, in my opinion, is really nice, because you want to share a template. Let's say you created a form, and now, Taher, this could be good for you if you want to share it across organizations or with different team members. Then you create the survey, and then all you have to do is duplicate it by creating a template, and you send it to them. And now they're not using yours, and you can customize each one. So
Yeah, that's cool.
that's one feature that they have. Collaborate. You can share it with others, individuals or teams to edit the form. See this one, it says enter name, group, or email address, and then you can share it with them. Who can access it at the moment is the customer team, but if I add the leadership team uh, to it, then I'm sharing the same survey, and if I go to the leadership team, I can add it as a survey to that team. Any questions? Do we get any questions on forms?
No, I didn't see any come through. Hopefully, hope everyone's learning something from this. I mean, obviously it goes pretty deep, but at the same time, it can also be super simple. So you don't have to go through all these settings when creating a form. I just like that Kamal's covering it. So this is great. And again, all this is recorded, so you'll be able to review it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And if some people in the past had asked me, I don't like the view and to edit in Microsoft Teams, because if you can tell, half of my view is taken by other things. Then you can click on the drop down, go to website, and this one will launch the same form in Microsoft Forms. So I guess I don't have permission for this one. It messed up accounts because I have like 5 logged in right now. But that's one option where you can um, go there. All right, I mean, this is a good segue now to Microsoft Bookings. Now, Bookings is a very, very interesting tool. I personally have seen it change so much since it started. It went from being just like literally like Calendly at the beginning, where they were trying to move everyone over to it, to becoming a much more comprehensive tool that comes as part of the, I think the Business Basic is the first one that gives you bookings. But again, not going to talk about licensing, but this is something that you can use. You can go to Microsoft Bookings the same way as Forms by clicking on all apps. Bookings is normally the first one, and that will launch the web version of Bookings, where you can see, it's well, I create a new account for these presentations, so it's giving me welcome to Bookings, manage places, and all those introduction to it. I don't have anything on this account, so I can either create a new calendar or discover existing calendars that my team might have. And I already am part of one. It's called the IT Clinic 101. But you can always create a new calendar. One option is by going to Bookings, this is the direct link to it, or you can go from the navigation window. The other option, which I normally tell people to go that route, as if you are new to Bookings, is through Microsoft Teams. So if you have, let's say, a planning team, what you can do is click on the plus sign to add a tab, the same way we did Microsoft Forms. And you would add, actually, sorry, this one on the left-hand side, let's start here. More apps you search for booking, and you add it as an app within Microsoft Teams. When you add it, it will show up on the left-hand side, just like calendar, Teams, chat, and so on. I personally would right click and pin it if you think you will be using it every day. You can even drag it up and down to move and reorder if you want. I'm using the web version. That's not possible, but on the desktop app, you can do that. Get started, you can create a new booking calendar or you can create an existing one. Again, I'm part of an existing one. However, I'm going to show you real quick how simple it is. Just a new booking calendar. You give the name for it. So let's say IT Clinic and business type. It gives you options. This is going to help you with some of the AI templates for the calendar bookings that you will have. So eventually, when we start creating schedules and appointments, those appointments they will give you recommendations. Oh, do you want an initial consultation, or do you want laptop support, or things like that based on what you select here. So if I select IT support, I can add also send attendees responses to who. So who do you want to send that to? Is it someone on your team, a manager, so on? You don't have to respond to any of these. You don't have to add a business phone number. You can just hit save, and it will take a few minutes to create. So be patient here. You don't need to be rushing this one. Don't you can close, go somewhere else, but it will take time. It's not going to be instant like forms because it's building calendars. It's actually creating a whole account within your admin tenant. So your admins will see it as an email address actually because it's creating all of that for you. Here you go. This was faster than most of the times, but now I see my calendar and I see what I have the session right now. I do have another booking that is happening with the IT clinic at 11 where I can join this meeting. So to get started, normally from Teams, to keep it simple, I would start by adding members and go to the three dots settings here where you can add appointment types and staff. Adding staff helps you see multiple resources that you have in team members, and you can add appointments to each one of them. So if I have an admin account here that I'm going to add. Let's see, who else do I have? Let's do actually this other user. So I have now a couple of other team members that I've added. Right? You can make them admins, you can make them guests. The reason this user is a guest, because I know I did not license them, but this one is licensed and is an admin. I can change them to a team member, viewer, or a scheduler. So if you have a secretary who is sitting up front and he is scheduling appointments for your team, that's for a clinic, I would say, then that person could be the scheduler. They don't need to be deleting things. They don't need to attend any of the sessions. They're just scheduling. Then you can change it to them. Viewer could be leadership who wants to see it and see all the appointments. A viewer is also a good option to, if you are truly running an IT support on-site help desk, let's say, a viewer would be something you can share with end users to see what appointments each member has and how many are scheduled on the IT clinic's calendar. I'm going to keep it to admin. Appointment type, and you can see it gave me the first option, which is an IT consultation, I guess, but then you can add more. You can add the appointment type. So is it laptop refresh, let's say. If you want users to schedule appointment to refresh their laptops, then that would be an option. Which location? You want to add your, I'm going to say Wichita. Is Wichita office. Have attendees join from a web browser. So this one, you can say no, because it is in the office. Why would I need to do that? But if you keep it, then it will always create the themes. I believe if the settings are by default allowing Teams meetings, then it will create it. But this one will allow them to join the meeting from the web browser. You can add description. You can add bolding, italics, whatever formatting you want to the text. Please make sure you bring your old laptop, right? That's kind of important if you're going to refresh a laptop. And then reminders, you can add a reminder 10 minutes before, 15 minutes after, and so on. Link a form, that's pretty cool, but it's not going to work in this scenario because I don't have it linked or created as part of the group. So I would just save this setting. Uh, it disappeared because I went back and forth. But that's one way you can add additional appointments to your bookings. All right. So now if you would like to create a new booking, how do you do that? You just create a new booking with, you can select any of the individuals or you can click on new booking. Attendee's name, I'm going to say, there we go. George is the attendee. Attendee email address is required because if you don't include that, it's not going to let you send because they're going to send a calendar invite to that user. So I'm going to go with myself here just because I want to show you how the email comes in. Phone number, if you add that one, it will allow you to send text message reminders. And think about it, this is a feature part of bookings. You don't have to pay additional for it. It comes with bookings, and the users will be reminded via text message. I think it's pretty nice because a lot of other options to schedule calendar invites and things like that, and bookings and appointments, they might charge you additionally to send text message reminders. This one is part of bookings. You select the time, you can add more people, and then you can add staff. In this scenario, I'm gonna add this staff member and select the time. Let's select 12 to 1 o'clock. Make this a team meeting. This will allow them to join the meeting via Teams. If you uncheck it, then there's no Teams meeting. They have to attend in person. If I keep it checked and then have attendees join from the browser, it will allow them just click on it and it will automatically launch a web browser. No need to go to the desktop application or anything like that. Add a message in here if you'd like, confirmation message, anything like that. And you can add the reminders the way you want. It's pretty straightforward. This is everybody on this call. I'm 100% sure you have scheduled an Outlook invite before. This is the same way. This is very similar. It's just setting it up sometimes takes some time to create all these appointment types. But once all of that is created, you can just start setting up appointments, assigning them to team members, and sending them to attendees. Once I hit send, now this appointment with George is created. It's at 12 o'clock for admin one, will be the person troubleshooting the device. And if I go to my email, I should see a notification reminder and it will have the calendar invite attached. I will just click on it, add it to my calendar. And if I go now to my calendar, I will see this invite. It's actually this one. Once I select it, I can hit join and I can join this meeting. The details of what we said are also in this invite. So in short, this is what bookings on Microsoft Teams and the integration is like. You can get started with it. I think this is the best way to get started with bookings. It's just throw it in Microsoft Teams, create a simple one, go to settings and manage it that way. You can even change calendars that you have and dates from here from the top. If you want to do more, manage more settings, add more things to it, then you can go directly to the bookings app from here because this one will give you more options in terms of settings, managing it as an admin. So if I go to the IT clinic here, this one, you can see a completely different view now. You can add your business information and details. This is the real thing. This is the more details. The coloring comes in, the customers you can add in here. You can export and add a lot more things to it from this view. So I'm looking at the IT clinic calendar, but you can have multiple calendars in here. This is the actual calendar viewed by day. You can look at work week, month week, whatever you'd like to see how busy you are. You got the booking page, bunch of settings in here. So do you want default scheduling policy? Is it 30 minutes or 25 minutes? Some people do that now. Or is it a session that is always 45? What lead time do you need to have? There's so much that you can go over here that would take it to the next level. Customizing it. You want to add your logos, you want to add your colors, your company colors, all of that can also be added from logos. The customer data usage consent, you can tell them how their data is being used by adding that as well. Time zones and regions. Default for me is Central Time, but for you, you can change it to any time zone as well. So I would, once you played around with bookings, you created it in Teams, come here to outlook.office.com/bookings and manage it further, add more things, elevate it to the next level. You can add your customers, and this will make it a lot easier to manage them, add them to appointments rather than typing every time. You can just schedule with them. Staff, we went over this where I added my staff members, but you can also add their hours, the services specifically that they offer. If this person doesn't offer specific services, then you don't need to add it to them. So here I have the overview of this individual, what their title is, and then contact, what their contact email is via Teams, and so on. Their status is bookable right now. Calendar and availability will quickly show you, are they available today, tomorrow, or on a specific day. Services, I don't have this filled out, but you can associate a service with specific team members. These are the services that you have. You can add as many as you want, whether they're 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour. You can even, if you want, add lunch break in there as well. And you can add here the staff member to it. This is your business information. Do you want to add details on what your business is doing, what you can help with? The logo again here, business hours, and then the integration is where you can add Power Automate. Power Automate also works with forms. It's an automation tool that allows you to send reminders differently and do things outside specifically what Bookings is offering and forms. So any questions? Do we have any questions on form? I know I went over it quickly, but this is the high level overview of the application.
Not seeing any questions come through. So yeah, I haven't seen any questions come through. This is great. I'm gonna chop this thing up to a lot of bite-sized pieces too. You know, some 2-minute clips, 3-minute clips of kind of some just shorter things that can be found on everybody's YouTube page. So whether you were invited by Global Quest or GDS or Data Magic or Alltek, you can go to our YouTube channel and get the snippets and the full recording there. So yeah. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to cover on the bookings side, Kamal?
No, I think that's it. If there are any questions, I'm sure they can rewatch it, reach out to myself or you, and we can answer any of those questions.
Awesome. Well, for everybody who's here and actually stood through the whole presentation, we appreciate it. You're dedicated to learning. We have a number of webinars coming up on Excel, Microsoft Teams, different technologies that can just make your work life easier, such as easy conference room systems that don't cost a ton of money, easy setup. So make sure to be on the lookout for those upcoming webinars. The recording, again, will be on everybody's YouTube channel. Thanks, Kamal, again. Just wanted to open up one more time if anyone has any questions before we conclude. All right, y'all. Well, thanks again. Thanks for all the IT providers on the call that helped make this thing a reality, and for all of the clients and community that has joined today. We appreciate y'all a lot, and have a great week.